for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Hello everyone, welcome to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. My name is Steven Joderin. Joining me as always, Jake Watroba and Arman. On today's episode of Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, we recap MLS's opening weekend, plus an international segment of the counterattack with Jake Watroba. Now before we get to today's show, go ahead and follow us on the Twitter machine at Uncle Sam's Soccer Pod. Hit that subscribe button wherever that may be. Leave us a 5-star review and enjoy the show. Now, let's get to today's show. Fellas, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Just always working. What about you, Jake? How you doing out there?
We're doing fine. We're doing fine here tonight. How are you doing, Steven?
Doing well. Listeners, go back and listen to our fantastic interviews with USL Vice President Stephen Short and Detroit City FC coach Trevor James. Jake, you were there when we interviewed Trevor. Fantastic guy. Real interesting story. I just wanted to get some extended thoughts now that the show's been published from you since you were there.
Well, yeah, that was like the first time this show has interviewed somebody with as an extensive background in the game as he does, coming as a player with Ipswich Town over in England, and then scouting for clubs like Barcelona, Newcastle, Porto, Lisbon, and then making his way to America to then be the assistant coach. And I believe he was the interim head coach for a little bit for the LA Galaxy. He was the head of the Galaxy's academy, and then had a couple stints with Portland Timbers and Chicago Fire respectively, and then was the technical director at Indy 11. Yeah, I mean, he had been at almost every possible level of soccer you could imagine, and he is so much interesting perspective, and just he has a very unique way of looking at the game, just as as a head coach, or as somebody who's ran an academy, or as a scout, or even as a player. And I don't think there are too many guys who can talk about the game the way Trevor James can.
Yeah, no, I think it was an interesting insight into the world of coaching, just because he talked about the different dynamics of a soccer club and how it seems, or he gets the feeling that coaches within U.S. soccer tend to gear more to becoming or wanting to become first-team managers rather than finding coaches for developmental purposes. And I think that was an interesting dynamic that he provided and spoke about, and I think this is something that U.S. soccer could definitely improve, is coaching. But let's move it on to MLS's opening weekend. Arman, you were at FC Dallas Revs. Was there a buzz with FC Dallas in the opening weekend for MLS, and generally speaking, with the people you were talking to and interacting with?
Yeah, but that's because people take too much stock into preseason. Plain and simple. I mean, Luchi Gonzalez told me quite literally on Monday, hey, look, that game still felt like preseason to us because we've only played one team, one legitimate first team. And I remember I actually told Joseph this. Me and Joseph were chatting, and I was like, dude, I can't take any stock into these games. Like, why? I'm like, you're playing the Real Monarchs and Red Bull 2. Like, how can you take stocks into these matches? Like, it's tough. So I mean, there was a buzz, and then when they struggled, and they couldn't break down the Revolution's low block. Everyone's like, wow, what happened? This team was so good in preseason. It's because you don't take that much stock into preseason. You gotta, especially with Dallas, they weren't playing anyone like amazing. So who's our competition? They played a Seattle first team once, and that was about it. I mean, there was a little bit of a buzz because you saw a couple of kids play here or there, but I think people have to realize there's going to be a little bit more struggle before you get to see the beauty of Luchi Gonzalez's system, if we ever even actually see that.
Arman, yeah, we clearly on the show did not talk much of preseason apart from the one game that you liked to highlight, the Las Vegas Lights dismantling Toronto. But Toronto beat Philadelphia 3-1. A couple of their notable scores. Obviously, you had, a snowball, blizzard, Colorado 3, Portland 3, which was a fun game to watch. I know some of the players complained about playing the game to begin with. Los Angeles Galaxy beat the Chicago Fire 2-1, and then poor old FC Cincinnati getting just walloped on national television 4-1 to the Seattle Sounders. And then Sunday, the only team not to score, Atlanta United, got beat by DC United 2-0, and then LAFC said, "Diao you later," Sporting KC with 2-1 victory. You guys see what I did there? Ha ha ha. Cool.
Ha 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 ha.
Jake, let me ask you this: can we make anything of these scores, or just these games in general after week 1?
Can we make anything of these scores? Depends on who you ask. I mean, do you want to have hot takes? You want to come in hot?
Come on, give us the hot takes. At this point, there's no holding back.
Hook it to my veins.
Yeah, I don't think we really can take anything away from these score lines. Set you guys up for that one, didn't I? I don't know. I watched a few games this weekend. I watched the first half of Columbus Crew and New York Red Bull. I thought Columbus Crew looked they played very well for that first half. Now, I didn't watch the second half, so I apologize. Maybe they looked terrible in the second half. But for the first half, and obviously they were playing against basically, Red Bulls too. But that first half, they looked pretty good under Caleb Porter. They were very dangerous on the flanks. They were getting balls into the box. So I think you can look at it from a Columbus Crew perspective. And I know I said this in our preview show or prediction, whatever show it was, that they were going to be a team I was going to look forward to watching this season. And they looked like they could be a fun team to watch, and they might surprise some people this year. I mean, you can also look at DC United. I mean, you guys both watched that game probably more so than I did. And I think, Steven, you alluded to this, that DC United looked really good.
No, yeah. I think they looked like a team that knew what they were wanting to do on the field. But here, overall, I think what you can't take away from week 1 is every club's at a different point. What you can tell, I think, is there are clubs who play soccer or football at a beautiful level. DC United played the game at that level where it's fun to watch. Now, yes, that's got to do with the stadium. It's got to do part in which who they're playing. But LAFC, Sporting KC, I think that was high-level soccer. Then you turn over and watch other games, and you're like, ooh, this is awful. In parts, I thought FC Dallas Revs was boring to watch. And I think that's the dynamic in which the league is going to spin around. You will have these marquee matchups on Sunday nights, ESPN or FS1, that is going to raise the level of soccer. Will it translate into TV numbers? I don't know. We'll talk about that in a second. But that is, I think, the big talking point, is that the game continues to become more layered. It becomes more fascinating. The skill, Acosta for DC United. I mean, he was just making moves. You can just tell that he was supposed to be playing for PSG, who probably could have used him, quite frankly, in the Champions League today.
I mean, they could have. I mean, honestly, they could have. But if you want to say if we can take anything out of these scores, I mean, you could put some teams on your ESPN Plus team to watch. Like, oh, I'm gonna go circle this game and go watch some teams. Like you could go through and I know I circled Colorado on my list. Also kind of intrigued again, like DC United, and I had to throw in a little bit of I would have to say some Columbus Crew as well. I mean, I think all those you can throw some teams on there. But I mean, outside that, I mean, we saw Seattle almost basically be in last place, make a run for MLS Cup. So can we really make anything out of this? No.
Playoff seeding was not determined today at all.
But you must agree though that if you're these teams winning these early games are essential.
No, I think
you look at a team like Minnesota United have been terrible the last 2 years, and 3 points out of the gate, that's good for momentum.
3 points out of the gate and 3 points on the road. Let's not forget that was a road win. That's a huge a huge result on the road. And again, these early games are I think are huge for these away teams because you have the home teams are still trying to figure out what's going on. Some of them, for example, FC Dallas and Luchi Gonzalez, they're still trying to figure out their system. Mark DeSantos and Vancouver Whitecaps, they're still trying to figure out their system. So, I mean, those early away games against the teams with new coaches or FC Cincinnati are going to be crucial to, accumulating those points, especially towards the end of the season when, you start getting fatigued, you start playing in the summer. A road game against FC Dallas in July in the heat turns into a massive home field advantage for them compared to, a game early on right now where they're still acclimating to their system. So, I mean, I do agree they help, but like in the overall grand scheme of things, there's nothing we can really make from these scores.
No, I will add now, listeners, we are recording this Wednesday evening during CONCACAF Champions League, and I would have said this on Sunday. These early games would, picking up points early on benefit the team that would make that deep run in the CONCACAF Champions League. Now, at the moment, it appears every MLS team is going to be bowing out after the second round or the quarterfinals. So,
I mean, not every team. I mean, you have SKC. They're only one. They just need one goal at home, and they'll probably play a more full strength team. And
no, you're right.
But
I do think that if you do get some points early on, Toronto FC last year, the beginning of the MLS season absolutely destroyed them. Because when they did try to get healthy, they had so much ground to make. Now, DC United is the exception to this rule. I mean, they made up so much ground in such a short amount of time.
Well, they also played like 15 home games in their final 17 matches, whatever it was.
So, I don't know. It's one of those things that MLS needs to figure out is how to make these games early on mean more. Anyway, a big talking point was MLS's TV ratings. Now I'm reading from WorldSoccerTalk.com. Christopher Harris, headline, MLS begins 2019 season with disappointing TV ratings on ESPN, FS1, and Univision. Now, quickly, Jake and Arman, did you guys think the games were entertaining, DC United, Atlanta? Yes or no?
I would say DC United, Atlanta, a little, but SKC and LAFC was a little bit more entertaining in terms of,
okay.
skill.
What about on FS1, LA Galaxy, Chicago? Yes or no?
For me, I did not really care so much to watch that game. I had a hard time giving a rat's bleep about it. But you, Steven, said it was a great game. So you love Ibra.
I love Ibra. I think there's just the drama of him scoring a wonder goal. And the crowd obviously reacts to him. Also, Bastian Schweinsteiger. We'll talk about the kid.
But the fire. It's the fire. Like, no offense to the fire, because Jordi Mihailovic has been playing really well. They're looking to add some pieces, but like, the fire aren't sexy. Like, come on. Like, I don't think.
I'm talking about the game. The game itself. I know it wasn't a sexy headline. It's opening weekend. You might as well tune in to see what the teams are about. But anyway, we're distracting ourselves. I'm just asking if the game was entertaining. Seattle FC Cincinnati, yes or no? Entertaining game.
No.
Okay, no. That's it. No, I don't need your butts. No.
What do you mean? You can't tell me you weren't at least intrigued to watch FC Cincinnati?
I wasn't, because they're gonna be terrible.
Okay, so. for after once the scoreline went to 2-1, I knew it was over. Once Seattle got that second goal, everyone knew it was over. Anyway, I'm reading off this story, WorldSoccerTalk.com. Major League Soccer has kicked off 2019 right where it finished the 2018 regular season with disappointing TV viewing numbers on English language television across both ESPN and Fox Sports, and a surprising drop in viewership on Spanish language Univision Deportes. Now, here are some of the numbers. Down 24% on Univision for Orlando NYCFC, down 13% on ESPN for DC United and Atlanta United, up 6% for LA Galaxy, Chicago, and Seattle Cincinnati on FS1. Now, the story goes on to say, while the 6% increase on FS1 might seem positive, the average of 186,000 for both games on a Saturday night was far below expectations, given the teams were featured during prime time on the East Coast and the West Coast. Which I personally think, what are the expectations with these TV numbers? So the story says they were far below expectations, but doesn't tell us what the expectation line was. So are we, wanting 2 million people watching this game or 1 million? There's no context to the expectations there. So my one gripe with it. But guys, it doesn't look good after week 1, particularly when it is opening weekend. And this is a relevant story because Ian Thomas, a contributor to Sports Business Journal, tweeted out March 4th, MLS has instructed all of its clubs not to have local broadcast deals beyond 2022 as the league looks to potentially bundle any combo of its national, international, local rights to maximize its next broadcast deal. Guys, this has to be a worry for MLS.
Yeah, I mean, the ratings suck. I mean, lack of a better word, they suck. But I mean, the thing with World Soccer Talk is they kind of have something against MLS. It's pretty weird. So, I mean, they might try to skew everything in a negative way. Like you said, the expectations, they didn't list them or anything. Look, I think the ratings are not good, are not good enough. But hey, like, I hate to be that guy, but it's still MLS, Like, we're not going to see ratings drastically grow overnight. All of a sudden we're going to see 1 million people watch. It's going to have to be gradual. Like,
well,
I hear ratings all the time, but like it has to be a gradual. I mean,
right.
Literally, like 2-3 months ago, they're making like 250K. They're gonna jump to 1 million now. Like,
but here's the worry though. The story says this is the 3rd year in a row where viewing numbers on the opening weekend have dropped on Spanish language TV. That's not good.
Well, if on Spanish language TV if that's Univision, how many people are actually watching on Univision versus Twitter? Because Twitter is where the English is at.
Yeah, but Twitter's not taking away that many viewers from TV.
I mean,
there's maybe
you think
I believe when you watch on Twitter, it tells you how many people are watching at a given time.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen it say more than 10,000 people before.
Really? I mean, look, you might get raked over a fire now.
As somebody who, well, go ahead, at Jake Watroba. Get at me. As somebody who doesn't watch the Univision broadcast really ever, I don't know. I guess I could be wrong, but like streaming numbers, people want to talk about how streaming is affecting TV ratings. It's such a people still use TV over their laptops or their iPhone or iPad.
I 100% agree. It's just in this specific instance, I feel like it might be it might be a little bit different because Twitter, I think, is just so much easier. I don't know if everyone has Univision. You know what I'm saying? I have cable, but I don't have the high definition version of Univision. It sucks. It's standard definition. I'm not going to watch it.
Well, okay.
Sorry. And it's in Spanish. So, but here's the other thing though, too. I mean, weren't we just talking like 3 weeks ago how the AAF had better ratings than the NBA on a Saturday night?
Yeah.
There's something to be taken away from, maybe we shouldn't put these nationally televised games on at 9 o'clock at night on a Saturday or 7 o'clock at night on a Sunday. Again, you know what I mean? Like maybe we need to do the NFL model where every game plays at the same time and we have a national game going on. I don't know. It just, to me, I feel like you might get better ratings if you had a nationally televised game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday in the spring as opposed to 9 o'clock. I mean, I get it. The Saturday games is better than the Sunday games, but I just feel like the chance for ratings would be much higher, having a crowd watching the Premier League go into MLS.
Maybe. I don't know. Here's the big takeaway with the TV numbers. What games were on? If you were on, LAFC Stadium was rocking, okay? Fantastic crowd, captivated you. DC United, in the rain, was still pretty good to watch. Obviously, you know what was happening with Seattle. I think Orlando's purple home opener, it was good. What matters is, I know the TV numbers suck, but they cannot and should not absolutely put games like FC Dallas or Chicago or other stadiums where it is empty. That is even worse of a look if the game is doing well. You much rather have a sold-out, packed LAFC playing whoever and the game be 0-0 than have a half-empty stadium where the game is 4-3, because people will click in and they will notice that nobody's at the game, and they will click right through.
There's a reason why every Atlanta United home game looks to be on national TV this year.
Well, yeah,
and there's a reason why FC Dallas maybe plays like one game on ESPN or FS1, and it's
on
like
the road.
They're away.
Yeah,
like the only games they really play on national television are Unimos and Univision matches, and then that's partly due because hey, they have a very Latin Latin friendly Latin feel, and those are easier matchups for Univision to market and stuff like that, like the match they have this weekend. So I think they're already doing that, to be honest with you.
Well, guys, I want to ask you this then. Do you think a young budding star in Efrain Alvarez could impact TV ratings at all?
Yes.
I think so too, especially considering he's dual national.
Everybody, when he came on, everyone's like, oh my God, a 16-year-old's on. Everybody flocked to their phones or to the TV for the last remainder of the game. And he had an assist. Like, this is exactly what MLS has been hoping for, is a kid. And never mind, you have the chance to pair him up with Ibrahimovic, who's 38, who's twice the age of the kid and some. That's insane.
We got some good games to watch this weekend, though, guys. I mean, I'm telling you, I'll be at FC Dallas, LA Galaxy. That should be a fun game. We'll see if Luchi Gonzalez's system works out. We'll see if Zlatan screws. We'll see if Efrain Alvarez maybe gets another assist or a goal even. And Jake chose my most interesting team to watch, the Colorado Rapids and Seattle matchup on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time as a game to watch. Jake, good call right there, man. Great call.
I thought you would appreciate that, Arman.
You know I love I'm a huge Colorado fan right now, so you're my ESPN Plus team to watch. We also have NYCFC and DC United. Will NYCFC rebound after a disappointing draw against Orlando City, and will DC United continue? That's Sunday at 2 p.m. Central Time. And then finally, LAFC Portland. That game's on FS1 at 7:30 Eastern Time. Look, LAFC really hot, and Portland can always put up a good challenge against any team. Some great matchups to watch this weekend.
Fast-paced, shifty movement, brilliant skill. It's the counterattack with Jake Watroba.
It's counterattack time here on Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. We are going international this week here. Let's start off in Europe with the Champions League. Guys, did you get a chance to watch Champions League at all this week?
Yeah. Ajax. The team of the future.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this. More eye-opening comeback. Ajax going to Real and beating Madrid, or United down 2-0 on aggregate going to Paris and beating PSG.
Arman, I'll let you actually take this one first. I'm curious to see what you say.
I don't have to say Ajax. Like, I know Real has kind of been on the down this year, but I mean, that Ajax win was phenomenal for a team that everyone says they develop stars and get rid of them, and then they can't compete. They played an outstanding matchup. I mean, what was it? Was it Dusan Tadic? He was fantastic out there.
No, he was fantastic. Yeah.
I have to say, like, United over PSG, like, okay, I mean, United was injury battled, whatever, but Ajax, man, like that was wow. I couldn't believe it.
I thought PSG's loss was more atrocious. I thought when the original bracket came out and Ajax was paired with Real Madrid, I texted a buddy of mine. I said, wouldn't be surprised if Ajax pulled the upset just because Real Madrid are in turmoil. And I do think United's win at the Parc des Princes, having to score all those goals on the road. Remember, PSG had the 2 road goals in their pockets. I thought that was more impressive. And Ajax win against Sergio Ramos and Real Madrid was, I thought you could have predicted that and not been that crazy to say something like that. What about you, Jake?
I kind of agree with you, Steven. I thought from the first leg of Ajax Real Madrid, Ajax outplayed Real Madrid, and were very unlucky to leave Amsterdam down a goal. What's with PSG, by the way, blowing commanding leads in the Champions League?
Oh, that's never gonna leave them. That is forever an omen.
That's a mentality thing right there.
Is that was it last year they lost the lead to Barcelona? Was that
2 years ago?
2 years ago? 2 years ago. Okay.
Wait. Get this stat. Transfer money spent since 2011. Arman, can you tell me how much PSG has spent since 2011?
What, like 500 million?
No, $1.15 billion. 0 Champions League semifinal appearances.
Yikes.
Anyway, move it on, Jake.
Money well spent. All right, let's keep it in Europe here. According to the tabloids, Jose Mourinho is on his way to Real Madrid.
Yep.
Is this a good hire, or
yes.
would this be a good move for Real Madrid?
They need something, man. They need something.
They need somebody with a backbone. Jose Mourinho will put it back in them.
So you don't think the game has passed Jose by?
No, not at all. He'll adapt. He'll learn. He has to. If not, his legacy will just be tarnished.
Yeah, well, we'll see, I guess, if Jose is still the special one if he does land that job at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
All right, let's move it on to another Champions League team here. Let's talk about a little Tottenham Hotspurs. Fellas, is this team good enough to make it to the semis?
No. Too much quality across Europe.
You're an Arsenal fan. You're so biased. Tottenham could be the best team in the world. And you're like, nah, they're not going to get out of the group.
Well, you're not wrong. So
I want an unbiased take from our resident Manchester City fan, Arman Kafai.
Bandwagon.
Yeah, you wish.
Bandwagon.
I think they have a chance. I mean, come on.
They're healthy.
Right.
They're healthy.
They're healthy. They're good. Mauricio Pochettino is a hell of a coach. Come on.
He should be the one going to Real Madrid.
I was just going to ask you, any chance that he is the one who lands at Real Madrid?
No.
If you're going to put the odds, is it what, 45% Jose, 20% Mauricio Pochettino, and then whatever the
100% Zidane.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess the next question here is, for them, is it more important to go as far as they can in the Champions League? And this also applies to Liverpool, too. Is it more important for these two teams to go as far as they possibly can in the Champions League, or make sure they do as well as possible in the Premier League? Liverpool, I believe, sits 2 points back Manchester City in the table, and Tottenham is there in third place with Manchester United nipping at their heels. What do you guys think?
For Liverpool, it's league. For Tottenham, it's Champions League.
Agreed. Jake, your thoughts?
I think it's the league for both of them, to be quite honest with you.
Interesting. Huh. Move it on.
Moving on though. Let's kind of go. Let's go back to this side of the world here on the Western Hemisphere. Let's talk a little CONCACAF Champions League.
Oh, again, baby!
We are recording again on Wednesday night, so for anybody looking to get any reaction on the Atlanta Monterrey game, you will not get that tonight. So, guys, Houston Dynamo, are they cooked? They lose to Tigres 2-0 yesterday, and New York Red Bulls fall to Santos Laguna 2-0 as well. Both of these games were in New York and Houston, respectively. Are these two teams cashed?
Let me explain this to you guys. MLS in the CONCACAF Champions League can be summed up with one word. Sucked. Okay? Every team has sucked in the CONCACAF Champions League. They will continue to suck in the CONCACAF Champions League until MLS can figure out a way to get them some competitive games earlier on, so they're not going into a preseason with a preseason form into games that mean something and have to figure out how to play tournament football. They have all sucked.
Steven, they're starting the season earlier, I think, next year.
Well, we'll see what that means. I don't buy it.
Houston is cooked. Red Bull is probably cooked.
What about SKC? They are down
they have a
2-1.
They're fine. They're going to score and they'll move on. They'll play full strength lineup and they'll move on.
Okay, perfect. And again, as I mentioned earlier, Monterrey is playing Atlanta right now, so we will not react on that game. Last topic here on the counterattack. Let's talk a little Barcelona. Barcelona president Josep Maria Bartomeu says Ousmane Dembele is a better player than PSG forward Neymar, who he was signed to replace in 2017. Is this not the most preposterous thing you guys have heard?
Yeah, this is, I don't know what he's going on
it's buying into your own hype, bro. You gotta hype up your players somehow.
I guess.
It's Neymar. He's like one of like the 5 best players in the world. Dembele.
He's been okay. I mean, he's performing well, but it's not the level Neymar would at Barcelona with Messi and Suarez and whatever else they would put together, Coutinho. I mean, it's apples and oranges now.
Is Neymar okay, let me ask you guys this. Is Neymar the best player on his team?
At PSG?
No.
And has Mbappe passed him?
Yeah, clearly.
And Mbappe has passed him.
Okay, well, that wraps up.
That's it. We're wrapping it up. All right, Mbappe. On that note, we are done for the day. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at UncSamSoccerPod. Make sure you follow Mbappe's biggest fan, Arman Kafai, on Twitter at Arman Kafai. Follow Steven Jodran, your resident Euro snob, at Steven Jodran. And you can follow myself at Jake Watroba. For Arman, for Steven, I'm Jake. We will talk to you guys next time.
Go follow Mbappe.
Mbappe.